that, with Comcast deal with Universal. So it looks like they're kind of coming closer together, the content providers and the distribution guys. So now who's the king, right? So you own the pipes and the content, right? So that's why we have these issues with the government, snooping in, finding out what's going on there. So that's one thing. And then also going back to your comment, like Netflix is also creating their own original content now too, right? So to compete with the content providers. So when you think along those lines, it's kind of like the Wild Wild West where it was with music, 10 years ago. Where are we going to go with TV and entertainment and film and video, in the future? Because now folks want to watch content wherever, on my mobile device, or if I go home, I want to switch it to my TV. You can't do that. You can't watch all the Office videos at any time you want. So you got to, find out what methodology you want to go with. So I agree with you on that. It's still up in the air.
I've got a question to the panel. How do we reconcile all the emphasis on the mobile applications with the increased data plans that the telecommunications providers are out there? It's right there, folks. Come on.
If I could take a quick stab at that, that's actually an excellent question, because in this country, more than other countries, really have the unlimited plans, but then AT&T has put the throttles on that. So, but you have LTE coming out, you have 4G coming out. So my thought is that with some of the streaming technologies that we have, which utilizes less bandwidth and is able to stream more, right? I believe those technologies will still enable the revolution of mobile video, right? In addition to the LTE, the 4G networks that are coming out, and just demand. Verizon has an unlimited plan, AT&T doesn't. Who's going to give? Or who's going to blame? I think you can't deny the public the bandwidth that they require. And how that plays out, unlimited plans or much less cost per bit, I think you'll see it more commoditized.
Russell.
I'm Russell Thomas. I'm with the firm's communications department. We have a robust telecommunications presence in Washington, D.C. that's working on this regulatory issue. That's the issue on the regulatory side, and we're trying to get under control with the throttling issue. And until that gets taken care of, then that question can't be answered, I don't think.
So who's going to win?
You know what? You asked the question. Somebody just asked a question about who's going to win, who's king. Capital is king. Actually, capital is king. Whether you're going to own the pipes or not, content. Whoever's going to put up the capital to create the content, that's going to be king. So I think we need to shift the conversation a little bit at some point down the road. And who's going to provide the access to capital to make this content available?
With YouTube being like the second largest search engine that's pretty much used for content, do you ever feel like there's going to be an on-demand scenario for content providers? With the Justin Biebers of music, now with prosumers able to actually create their own content and distribute it themselves, do you feel that that's a space that will be taken advantage of sooner or later?
So let me chime in a little bit as well. While we're speaking on this original content, we've been producing this film festival for 6 years. Well, we brought in some of the best filmmakers. They've been nominated, and some of the films have gone to the big screen. But we just sat down and said, well, we create our own, try to broker a deal and try to create our own channel, which is what we did this past May. We launched MPTV, which is my core TV, which is being distributed through 18 million households right now and online through Dish Network. But what we've done is all this programming and all that we've had all these years, now we get, we make them sign contracts, but now we own the content. That's going to be key as well, along with the capital. So it's just finding that's going to the future. When you talk about powers, who's going to win in the end, in my personal opinion, I think it's going to be whoever's owning the original content.
Yeah, I think linear TV is going to continue to be less and less, and VOD is going to continue to be more and more, especially with TV everywhere and the ability to watch what you want when you want it.
I think the hackers will determine who wins in the end.
Kirk, how is interactive video different from television?
Well, there's a lot of differences in there. I mean, the key things tend to come down to the classic issues of bandwidth and latency. And you're really trying to deliver
the expectations of people is that when they're seeing video, it's going to be at HD quality like I see on my home TV. But trying to deliver that in real time is really a challenge. I mean, you don't realize when you're watching TV, you're getting a 1, 2, 3 second latency because it takes that long to process it. And when you get down to interactive communications, you're trying to make it, you know, like even your cell phones still have difficulty with latency. You know, you talk and you wait, you talk and you wait. Most of us don't notice it as much, but as soon as you have, for example, 250 milliseconds is the magic number, you exceed that, your ear can hear it. And in the past, if you get on your webcam, on your laptop, or on FaceTime, or these things, you're often getting, you know, a 1 second delay, and lip sync that could be off by 1 or 2 seconds, which really makes an experience that people go, it's interesting, it's cool, but it's not compelling, you know. And it was interesting. We were skeptical at Cisco 5 years ago when we created telepresence, and we said, okay, let's design a solution that is low latency, high def, immersive quality. I mean, that it's really like TV with low latency. And we were surprised that when you get the experience the right way, people will flock to it. But if the experience is there, they'll drop it, you know, in a heartbeat. And you see the classic interactive video, people put it in droves, but then a month later it's getting 50% utilization, and 2 months later it's 25% utilization, and 6 months later it's 5% utilization, and then it's unplugged and turned off. But if you can create an experience that's really there, you know, people will come and they'll buy it. They'll spend whatever to get that high-def experience. And that really changes the way you think when all of a sudden it is literally like having an HD window into this room, and I am like sitting right here. That changes the way you do meetings. That changes the way you attend entertainment. And you can actually watch dance performances. You can actually watch sports events. You can actually watch music performances where I've got a front row seat, you know, to that entertainer. They're like right there, and I can also talk to them if I want. And you know, so it really creates a unique experience, which is quite a bit different than the one-way experiences that we have with video.
I work with a lot of international clients, and I feel that we're sort of spoiled because we're content producers. We know that immediacy, but I was in Malaysia. I spoke with the attorneys in Supreme Court, and even the Supreme Court was having lags when there's a monsoon. Or in Caribbean, they don't have, the e-government doesn't have the broadband capability that we do. So I think we have to be sensitive to that.
And definitely I've been doing video for a long time, but when we first started doing our Cisco telepresence, and we started getting them our first 20, 30 rooms, it still amazed me that I can get in front of this system and it's like, okay, I get HD quality and it's across the hall. Okay, yeah, okay, I get HD quality and I'm calling across town. I'm getting the HD quality and I'm calling from here to San Jose, and there's no latency. It's faster than a cell phone. I get on a cell phone and they're hearing me faster on the video than they are on the cell phone. But then I do the same call to Bangalore. I do the same quality to Budapest. I do the same quality to Beijing. I do the same quality to New Zealand, where there's virtually no latency. And I mean, it's imperceptible. I mean, I'm talking on that screen. That person could be anywhere on the planet, and it's the same HD experience. And you dial a button, and 10 seconds later, they're on the screen. You know, first try. I mean, that really creates an experience that changes the way you think about how you do communications with people. How do you bring in, you know, we're looking at, you know, entertainment figures, you know, like, how do you bring these guys into events? Well, they've got schedules, they got places they got to be. How can you bring them to any room on the planet and bring them into an event? They can perform in HD, they can talk to audiences, they can talk to their audience instead of just being them looking at a camera, they're actually seeing their audience can ask them questions. With dance studios, National Dance Institute, where they're looking at how do we do dance studios, joint performances between London, Shanghai, and New York, all concurrent, and Moscow, that it's kind of go between all these performers at the same time because the quality's there and there's virtually low latency that all of a sudden you can open up these new opportunities for collaboration and performance.
So I think we might want to give the title of king to the carriers, to the service providers, because surely without a connected network, content is really not. So what are you doing to make that convergence in terms of putting the right demand on the carrier market to make sure that, number one, that connectivity is affordable, number two, that you can experience the high definition and the enrichment experience, et cetera. And I'm a so I understand the problem. And
yeah, exactly. I mean, the biggest problem with interactive video is that the bandwidth and the quality, and that the demand radically exceeds the ability of any service provider to deliver it.
Exactly.
And that's always been the case. But when you look at things like music, there's a time where it's like, okay, I barely got enough bandwidth on the internet to bring in an MP3 live. It's like, oh my God, I can almost play this. But then all of a sudden you hit that threshold of, okay, I got 64K, I can do audio. Well, now you get the next threshold of, I can do video, well, I need 360K for video, but that's not really compelling. And then you have 720p HD, you need 1 meg, in each direction. We're getting there. If you're on Comcast or you're on Fios, you can probably get it. If you're not on Comcast or Fios, good luck trying to get 1 meg guaranteed bandwidth in both directions.
So how do you create the pressure and the demand? Because carriers are going to respond to pressure. They're going to respond to demand.
Yeah, I mean, and they're, that's it. First of all, you even got to get the companies to really believe in the technology. I mean, so we're working on things of how do you get guys like Comcast to use HD video internally? How do you get AT&T to use HD video internally? How do you get Verizon? How do you get CNN? How do you get these guys just using it themselves? Because oftentimes they're not believers, and if they're not believers, how are you ever going to get them to deliver a service? And the good news is most of them now realize we got to do it, and a lot of it, the demand is kind of inevitably comes from two areas. One is the experience is so good that you get the CEXO level convinced and it trickles down. And that's kind of where Cisco is. But again, that's kind of a slow thing. It's business. But the other one is when you look at HD quality YouTube, and HD quality video that the teens and the 20-year-olds are going to get used to experiencing. And then it trickles up. They go into their business and say, I got to have this from day one, and it drives it in a much, much bigger way, getting it out there. So I think, just HD video on YouTube, is a huge driver of getting it there and helping convince the market, the service providers, that there is a market. I think all of them agree, absolutely, there's a market. They just can't build. I mean, it's the classic problem of demand versus available technology. We went pre.com, we had fiber coming out our ears, we didn't know what to do with. Now it's completely the opposite. We can't put in fiber fast enough. And I think video, we're doing interactive video over satellite. We have partners that are putting in satellite video all over Africa, Middle East, and Asia, where they can just drop a system anywhere, put a satellite dish on, and it's full interactive HD video. We got partners that are doing Wi-Fi enabled video. How do you do video over Wi-Fi and not via cable? That's a real challenge. How do you put it on an iPhone? iPhone and Apple and all these guys have to do major changes to the way they do license their technology to make video actually perform. And so there's just a lot of hurdles to get through on all this, and we're making progress, but it's never fast.
We are making progress, but you know, for instance, the CDNs, the so-called CDNs, do they really exist? Are they actually providing a service for us? The Akamai, the Limelights, the Bright Codes, and so on. Because you still get the buffering, regardless, you know, whether you're using them or not. And we're having a real problem with that, finding out if in fact a CDN is used for that. You know, they'll say, well, we deliver your media to the end of the web. What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're definitely seeing, looking at content that some of these guys have, you know, that classically deliver content, and you know, they use the traditional pipes, and they're using big monster 40 megabit satellite pipes and uncompressed video, and it takes days to set up and days to tear down, and there's 6 seconds delay. And we're looking at other providers who are saying, well, gee, if I go to, you know, all digital, and I can get, you know, good 1 meg or better bandwidth, I can deliver latencies, you know, that are, you measure them in how many seconds, you know, in just a 1 second delay, delivering content out to the audience, you know, that it's full interactive, and there's virtually, you know, very little setup time. You know, if there's a broadband connection in here, or broadband Wi-Fi, I'm transmitting, is going out HD quality to my customers. And so there are providers out there that are looking to say, okay, I'm going to convert from the old school, and I'm going to go to IP technology and compressed video, and I can deliver that experience for a fraction of the price, fraction of the setup time, low latency HD, larger audiences, interactive, and potentially deliver a big service. So there's a lot of guys considering it, they see the value, but you're getting there to actually delivering the service, you know, is a business cycle.
And I think it's also, I think it's obvious, but it makes good sense to point out that the bandwidth that's needed for two-way video, like telepresence, like Kirk was talking about, versus one-way video, right? The video conferencing piece versus content.
Yes.
Right, which is you can have a lot more freedom with the technology as far as what you're streaming down from a Netflix perspective or from a mobile perspective. But you're right, the CDN, some CDNs are better than others, right, depending on what CDN is being used. And for mobile, for instance, the whole CDN ecosystem, it's really not in place yet. Limelight does some mobile, but you know, all the others.
We're using
Limelight.
I think a good point for that, I think what's fascinating and why people are pushing to mobile to see video is, you know, what we find with our client base is a lot of people try to view this at work and they're blocked. It's, you know, on CDN like Bright Code or something, and it's blocked through the company intranet, so the viewer is not able to watch it, or it's flash and it needs to be HDMI. So you pick up your smartphone and you're able to access that content without worrying with your employer, without worrying with any sort of CDN, and you can watch it. So I think that's a lot of what we're seeing is people that can't access it easily via traditional web, so they're going to mobile, which is fascinating to me.
Right. And that actually raises another, and I don't want to jump on this, but as far as consumption, as far as monitoring, or as far as the actual data on consumption, right? Because the mobile is nothing more than the internet on a mobile device. And so you can capture all of the consumption on the web currently, but not so much as on the mobile device. But there's not a lot, the limitations in technology are not necessarily there. There will be, I think, a day where it's just the internet. It's either delivered to the mobile device or to the desktop. And then ultimately, I believe, and actually some companies are doing this, one former company I used to work for, where you can then farm the data on the set-top as well. So then you have a multi-screen, not only delivery, but data set, ultimately leading to a targeted advertising model.
Yes.
Yeah, with the CDNs, you have, I think what they're taking advantage of is the data model, where you know, they have the ability to push a lot of data, where your normal consumer that's signing up for Bright Cove or Syncopa or something like that, they're not going to be able to pay for a media server that will actually distribute that. But once you get to those levels, Bright Cove's membership or something like that becomes so astronomical that it only makes sense to bridge the gap and get your own. But then, you know, you obviously get into the IT complications and stuff like that, which Georgia leads it, right, you know, in this segment. But, you know, for the normal people that are trying to broadcast video, you get into things like licensing restrictions, and even with the Amazon cloud, you know, we deal with music content and things like that, where we'll have a license from the record label to have a video, but Amazon will take it down because, you know, conflict of interest. So I think it's still very wide open in terms of what actually is going to work and, you know, how they're going to regulate.
I think that's a very important point, because I beg to differ, but I live in Southeast Asia where they have censorship in the government of the internet. And we have to realize again how spoiled America. We might think it's a brave new world, but even when Amazon, an international corporation, can bring content down, then we are pioneers in this room of producing digital, but it comes back to the delivery. And also regulatory issues, which are sort of the brave new world, I imagine, in your field as well, in legal. Because you bump up against national restrictions in an international realm.
Asante, I'd like to turn the discussion a little bit towards you and your work with the Georgia Department of Economic Development. Can you please identify any current and upcoming initiatives that are going to help grow businesses or is helping growing businesses here in the state of Georgia in the interactive entertainment and digital gaming space?
We have no initiatives right now. Now, one of the big things I think, again, and that's kind of playing to everything, I consider you guys all content creators, and all of these portals are very similar, and it's finance, it's angel investors and venture. And as you guys probably know, again, here in Georgia, we're pretty slow. We're not Silicon Valley East yet. But that's one of the big initiatives that I'm trying to work on, is really trying to talk to a lot of our angel and venture guys and let them know about this space, what's going on here, and hopefully we can become that Silicon Valley East. That might take some time. But again, we need some initial investment. We have a lot of great startups here. I get a chance to meet with a lot of you guys, and a lot of you guys have their startup companies here. I get a chance to see a lot of you guys here already, which is exciting. But again, I don't want you to have to go to Silicon Valley to get your funding, or go to Boston or wherever. We need to kind of try to create that here. So that's one of the initiatives that we're definitely trying to work on. Okay, that's.
And how is social and mobile gaming changing the industry?
Well, the big part in that is that you don't need 200-man studios now to create games. A lot of our talent here, especially college talent, and we're pretty strong in that field, especially with Georgia Tech and SCAD. Any graduates here, I'm sure you guys, I see a few of you guys here. Anyway, so a lot of those guys now aren't automatically having to go to California. So again, now they can do a startup with 5 folks and create a mobile or Facebook game. They love it here in Georgia. Their family's here. They've grown up here. Their friends are here. They want to stay. Also, again, we have a great tax credit, which Denise mentioned earlier, which is awesome here for creating content like this, which is awesome as well. So again, the whole ecosystem, we're getting there. I think it's really new, and we're just kind of getting started. But again, I think for the social and mobile space, which is in the last 2 years basically just taking over the industry. What's great about that also is, again, I see a lot of females here too now, and again, the females are more playing casual social games now, and mobile games as well, which is great because now it's actually broadened the industry into becoming people who wouldn't consider themselves gamers now are playing games. So the industry is actually growing legs and getting a little broader. And I think the social and mobile space is great for us because we don't have too many console developers here, but we have a lot of new startups that are really starting in the social and mobile space.